Hey guys, Zach here. It's been a while, but guess what? Season 3 is coming out on December 11th. But also, if you're a patron, that's out right now on our Patreon. Just a small thank you for continuing to support us over our long break. We know you weren't getting as much content as usual, so just a small thank you. But for everyone else, you're only 1 week away. But to help you get ready for that, we wanted to release a recap covering seasons 1 and 2. It's a very high level, vague recap. We're not going over every episode in detail, but it should help refresh your memory and get you ready to dive back in because we know it's been, like 5-6 months or something like that. But these are very long episodes. The beginning of season 3 is just huge, super dense, a ton of lore. So we just wanted to help you get ready for that. And we are very, very excited to share it with you. Also, side note, if you're wondering where the Caldora Chronicles 3 preview is, we recorded it and it turned out to be twice as long as every other Caldora Chronicles. So it's going to be like 4 hours long, and I do all the editing for that, and I couldn't get it done in time. But that's okay because it's basically 2 Caldora Chronicles worth. So it's coming out, I'm going to do it on New Year's Day, I think, right around the beginning of January. Very excited about this one. A lot went into it. Can't wait to share it with you guys. So yes, you've been starved for Mortals and Portals content, but it is back with a vengeance. So please enjoy this recap, and we will see you next week for Season 3, Episode 1. Enjoy.
Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals.
Hey,
Hello.
everybody.
Hey.
Sorry. So we didn't discuss who was starting.
Yeah, but it's never been you first.
Oh, yeah. Valid point.
Do I need to say that before every recording? Just say,
You're right.
I'm gonna.
That one's on me. You can go.
Sorry. You know I power trip, bro. Like you can't cut me off.
Yeah, I just wanted a little slice of that power for a moment, but how'd
it feel?
Well, I got a little.
Probably not that good because I was talking. Yeah,
so I didn't really get it.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's just me and Ryan right now.
Mortal enemies, combined forces.
Yeah, well, I just want you to bank up playtime since you're not playing in season 3. So I wanted you to get it in like a recap of season 1 and 2.
I'll take what I can.
Is that
get.
about the same?
Yeah, it's
probably about as fun.
I just like playing.
Yeah, so this is a recap of seasons 1 and 2 to help you guys get prepared for jumping back into season 3. And we know we've been on a break for a while. It's been hard to get us all together. The episodes have been huge. So when we do record, we only get 1 episode out of it instead of our usual 2, which is like my fault because I'm packing a ton of story. Yeah. And there's a lot going on. You guys will see in season 3, there's just a lot going on. So you guys are going to get longer episodes. Hopefully that helps with the longer break and makes it feel a bit worth it.
We are very excited about the episodes because, yeah, I agree. Like tons of stuff happens. But yeah, it just ended up taking like a lot of time. And of course, as with any D&D or Pathfinder group, life ends up getting in the way, but we're figuring it out.
Yes, we are. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, so we have 6, as of this recording, we've recorded 6 episodes for season 3. And I think we've only gotten together 6 times. So
yeah, and that was over like how many months have we been recording for now?
I feel like we stopped. I feel like that's like 1 a month.
Yeah, honestly,
maybe
since we ended
on average. I mean, we also got some Caldora Chronicles episodes in there, but don't worry, that's not taking away from our ability to do like the main campaign stuff because there's only 2 PCs in each of those episodes. So usually it's because they're the only ones available and we wouldn't have been able to record the main campaign anyway. So I guess technically we've done about 10 episodes worth of work, but all together we've only done 6. But those are really fun, by the way. If you haven't checked out like the previews on the main feed, if you're not a patron, pretty proud of those. Those are a lot of fun.
Yeah, I do really like those. I like I guess not to get too deep into them, but yeah, just the quick kind of fun story,
change of pace, cool different stories,
interact with each other in a different way.
Yeah, and you guys get to try out different characters, and yeah, I've really enjoyed that as well. And I can tell stories that'd be really jarring or distracting to do in the main campaign
for sure.
All of a sudden.
Here's an origin of a character you've never heard of before.
So we're doing the recap for everyone. So patrons and just general listeners on the main feed. There is a Patreon exclusive aspect of this that we'll do at the end. where we're going to just answer questions about season 1 and 2 that were submitted by patrons on the Discord. And patrons will also get this like a month early. But for the main feed, we're probably going to release this like a week, maybe 2 weeks before season 3, episode 1 comes out, just to help prime you, since it's been a while since you've probably listened to the show. I will say that this certainly is not a replacement for listening to the actual seasons. So if you're like a new listener and you're like, oh, I want to skip those, and is season 3 its own story? Like, it's all connected. It's linear. We just separate them by seasons because they feel like very distinct arcs to us, and we take a break after the season and things like that. So don't just come here and just listen to the recap unless you want to. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there's the guy that started on episode 2, so you can literally do whatever you want.
There's also a guy who started on our thank you episode.
When was that one?
I don't know. It was like after season 2, episode 30
he was like
or something
scrolling
like
through
that.
podcasts, and we had like one called "Thank You," and he was like, "Oh, I think I'll start with this one today."
yeah. I'm assuming it's a joke because he just commented on it saying this is my first episode. But you never know. People are crazy.
Well, yeah. Then making that episode paid off. It garnered us some listeners, probably.
Yeah, he gave us a 1-star review though.
Oh.
It's like, I don't like these guys. Thank you. I haven't even done anything for you. So I have like the list of episodes up in front of me, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give like a sentence or two on what happened in it. Probably as I get to season 2, I'll spend a little bit more time describing things. Ryan, feel free to jump in with any comments or questions, or just be quiet and just get ready for season 3.
I'm used
just kind
to
of
that
practice
part of things.
Just practice not playing.
Yeah.
So
what's interesting is, so a bunch of the people in the Discord have been talking about doing re-listens, and so I started one recently too. So yeah, I'm in season 1 right now, but I'll be curious to see as we kind of go through here if there are things that pop up that I do want to bring up. But that's a little bit of foreshadowing, I guess.
Ooh, yeah. So I haven't like thought about what I'm going to say in this episode. I just I have all the episodes up in front of me, and I've listened to each episode probably like an equivalent of 5 times in detail, because obviously we record it. Then when Joel edits the vocals, he sends me the vocals, and I just give him like, yeah, that's good, like nothing to change. And then Taryn does the sound effects, and then I listen to that, and then I can see that, and then I usually listen to it once it's released just to make sure it all worked out well on Spotify or whatever.
Same.
And also sometimes it sounds different on Spotify, like things will clip.
Yeah. I know. I was noticing that about some of our episodes too, where the audio would like clip for a full episode. And I remember when we were talking about that at the time, and I think we're pretty good at this point, but it's just funny looking back on that. And yeah, like listening through those episodes, I probably listened to them like a jillion times too, because in this season 1 was the time where we didn't have that soundtrack thing where we can all edit it.
Oh, yeah.
So I would listen through an episode, make music based on that, give Taryn timestamps in the episode so that he could put the music in there at those timestamps. The level of work that we had to go through in the early season.
Oh my gosh. I can't say enough.
Crazy.
Joel's the one who found Soundtrap for us to edit on. It's like cloud-based, so we can all like hop into it on a web browser and edit. That is like, I could kiss Joel for that.
Right.
Like,
I can't imagine doing it without that now.
Because even, because we used to do it all in Audacity. We still edit our vocals in Audacity, but when Joel's done with the vocals, he throws it up on Soundtrap, and then we can all hop in and do other stuff. But it used to be so like you would do that with Taryn. So I'm surprised Taryn didn't quit in season 1, because he'd be like, hey, sound effects are done, Zach. And then he'd send me the file, and I would listen to it. And if something was too loud, or I felt like a sound effect should have been there or whatever, I would text him timestamps and be like, hey, tweak this, because I can't hop in the file to do it myself. And then if he tweaked it and it still wasn't quite what I thought it should be, I'd send him again and he'd have to hop in again. But now I just go in and I do the listen with the browser open. And if I see like, that should be a little quieter, I just do it. And it's like, it's made our lives so much easier. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Anyways. Yep. So let's see. First episode, season 1, episode 1. An apple a day keeps the Drake Knight away. That is basically where we met all of Digsby's crew. They all were on the island of Nisserine. And they didn't really know quite how they got there. Like, they all came through a node, but from their origin episodes. So listen to their origin episodes if you want to figure out how they got there. But they didn't know each other, and they were just wandering around this mysterious island. It was very beautiful, the island of Nisserine on the planet of Lorthal. And they all got picked up by the same halfling, Digsby, a crazy old apple merchant. And they climbed in his wagon and got to know each other. And then they ran into some bandits on the road known as the Drake Knights, who wanted to collect a toll. And that led us to season 1, episode 2, Grapples and Apples, and they fought him. That's basically what happened. You guys won.
Yeah.
You did great. Yeah. And then episode 3 and 4 is basically you guys going into town. You met people. You met Dunedast. And like the big revelation from meeting Dunedast was he was like, the nodes on this island, it doesn't align.
Right.
So how did you guys come through a node? Like, I'm pretty sure that's impossible. So that was a bit of a curious thing. And obviously then the Drake Knights showed up looking for everybody, and you had a big fight. And
Geldir was introduced at some point.
Oh, yeah, that was episode 2 because, well, I guess he wasn't Geldir at that point, but Tyrion spared a Drake Knight. So then in between sessions, I was like, well, if one's alive, he's going to go tell everybody. And then they had your descriptions, and that's how they end up coming into town looking for you. And yeah, so you fought the Drake Knights and the Drake Rhaegorn, and you shot him down with like a cool bow and arrow thing that Dunedast made. So sweet. And then basically what you realized, well, and Digby died.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was kind of which was a moment we were very, like, at the time when we made it, we're like, oh, that was cool. That was, whatever. And then we had recorded all those episodes before we ever released one. And then everyone was like, I loved, like, all of our early comments were like, I love Digsby. Digsby's the best. This is so great. And I was like, uh-oh.
And we were just sitting here like, oh boy, I wonder how they're going to react to what happens in just a few episodes.
Absolutely. But yeah, so Digsby died, and that kind of like brought you, well, first of all, it gave you all an emotional connection to each other. Like, hey, we all like this guy, he all brought us together, and he died selflessly, like, helping us. And then...
And that sheet of paper is what ended up giving us that name, Digsby's Crew, that, was it Jules found it in his pocket or something like that?
Well, I think he called you Digsby's Crew, and he wrote Digsby's Crew on it.
Oh, sure.
And he crossed out all the other ones, but then he also wrote My Friends.
That's right. Yep. That was, very heart-wrenching.
Yeah. So you all had a bone to pick with the Drake Knights, and it's personal, but also you couldn't get off the island because Drakes were there. And if you got in a boat and sailed away, they would shoot you down, and the nodes don't work. So you're like, well, first things first, we got to stop this and the injustice here, and then we can get off the island. So that kind of started you on your quest. And basically your idea was like, oh, if you go kill the Drakes, that weakens Sindor, the druid's power that was like tied to the Drakes, because he was using this device called an Arcanor that Dunedast made, and he like contorted to his own devices that he used to create this spell. So yeah, the island was a habitat for drakes. You guys already know all this. I don't really have to go over all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you went on this Drake Knight quest, and we also learned that Waltz had some kind of like divine power with the Radia. He touched the sun shard and started to glow, and Dunedast is like, hey, Radia, and Taryn still doesn't know what any of that means, which is funny to me. Yeah, and stay tuned. And so yeah, you guys go to do that, and you bring Geldir with you. So Geldir again was with them when they came to attack the town, and you partner up with him, and he does this whole betrayal. So basically, you guys meet Sindor. He knows you're there. He's coming after you. You journey into the snowy place Pagos to go kill Forgost, the like ice drake. But when you do that, Geldir betrays you guys and pushes Waltz into the.
Also, Ryu had that personality and hair color change and stuff like that entering into Pagos.
Right, and actually, when you entered into Pagos too, the whole reason they ended up going after Forgost, well, I guess they were going for him anyway, but Forgost showed up and like kidnapped Ryu, and then like went through a portal. So they were trying to kill Forgost, but also save you. But Forgost took you to Sindor. So I guess I can jump around a little bit. Sindor, when he had seen you and realized you're an Erikai, not on Desolus, he knew you were the Unbound because he knew of the prophecy, because he's from the same planet that the Erikai are originally from, because they're not even from the system of Caldora, and they got there through the displacement, which was a crazy event where a bunch of organisms from Caldora were sent elsewhere and no one knows why, and then a bunch of organisms from like other systems were suddenly there, and no one really knows like if they're from other timelines or systems or planets, or if they were just spawned. It's just kind of this whole thing. But I won't really go over the whole prophecy with the Erikai and the Fangdom and things like that, but he knows that you could channel ley lines directly and you're super strong, and he wanted you to fulfill your destiny. So he's like, hey, join me, screw Digsby's crew. And you're like, yeah, I might do that.
Ryu was considering it. Yep, I remember.
Yeah. And he said he could teach you how to channel a ley line because he had done it when he put the ley line in the Arcanor.
Yeah.
So it was pretty appealing to Ryu.
It was.
Yeah, so you guys... you did all that. You also met the like ex-Fangdom people that were working with Sindor, and they were like,
Yes,
hey,
Bulgur.
Sindor's actually, he's actually not that bad. He is protecting us from the Fangdom in exchange for servitude, and like the refugees on Mandaru wouldn't be able to even fight the Fangdom if not for Drake's. So he's actually pretty good, you know? So you guys should have just left him alone.
Which might actually
point.
bring me to a little bit of a question here, the whole interaction with Sindor and stuff like that. So obviously this is not a spoiler-free thing, but just a heads up that this is like a spoiler for like way later. So the fact that like Sindor was keeping Ryu alive at the time implied that he had some sort of like use or desire for him, which is what I guess sort of justifies Ryu being resurrected later on by Gothram, and that they do still have some sort of use for him. Was Sindor's use at that time? Oh yeah, it was to bring down the Fangdom then too, right?
Yeah, so yeah, we could totally jump a little bit ahead, because so at the very end of season 2, that little like thing with Gotham, he was talking to Droga and said like, I don't want to do the same thing Sindor wanted to do before he brought you back, because Sindor was on their side, the Alvirium. So Gotham was against the Alvirium.
Oh.
And Sindor was with the Alvirium. So he's like, this can't be the right thing to do because it's what Sindor wanted. And Droga's like, we don't have a choice. So Sindor, and I'm really happy because someone in the Discord, I think it was Garolo. Sorry if I'm wrong about it. I was really proud of this person for figuring it out. Because they sort of like realize over time that Sindor's goal clearly is to like throw Keldora into chaos and like weaken everybody. So he's made the Fade, that like plague that makes people fade out of existence, that it went away. He was trying to like wipe out humans with that. He's armed refugees so that they can like flee the Fangdom and not be a part of the Fangdom while also fighting humans.
Right.
And he wants Ryu to destroy the Fangdom, who Gotham said, hey, if the Alvirium does come here, we might need the Fangdom because they're like the most united peoples in all of Keldora. Like they're a single army that'll work for a single purpose, and we might need them if they do show up. And he was like, Kadrog was like, you clearly don't understand how strong the Alvirium is. That doesn't even matter at this point.
Okay.
But like Sindor, if he was working with the Alvirium, clearly wanted Keldora to be as weak as possible. So when the Alvirium showed up, they were defenseless. So his entire purpose, he even said to Waltz, when Waltz was like, hey, what do you like want? He was like, to give Keldora the means to destroy itself.
Yeah.
And also, it's not really like, doesn't really matter. It's not a spoiler or anything, but like Sindor is from another planet from Kaijin, and it was like this very like overgrown wilderness planet, things like that. And he just wants to like purge Keldora because he views like every living ancestry as a plague on nature. So he's like, I'm all for the Alvirium coming in here and just purging like all of you guys, and then it'll be mine.
I see. So like his fit in the mix after that would be, King of Keldora. He would be working hand in hand with the Alvirium at that point.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not clear if he knows that if like Alvirium's like, yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, it'll be yours, bro. Or maybe they'll just destroy literally everything and he doesn't know that.
He's
but
just like simping
likes,
for the Alvirium, hoping that he'll be.
Yeah, he likes the idea of getting rid of like what he thinks is like a parasite on like nature.
Gotcha.
And that he can just like rule over it because he himself was like a tree man.
Yeah.
So, and he's just evil.
Right.
But anyway, so yeah, he was just trying to like destabilize Keldora.
And so maybe jumping ahead again then, so then why is Gotham okay now with the Fangdom being toppled? Just because Droga said it doesn't really matter? But
because you guys passed like a point of no return when you didn't destroy Lorthal. And he's like, well, now I'd rather... Well, so first of all, that's not super clear. Except other than Droga said, if the Unbound fulfills the prophecy, then you will like have the Elder Blade. So
okay, so we don't know
this
that
weapon. Yeah, this weapon that he thinks can help him stop the Alvirium now that there's no other choice.
Okay.
If the Unbound does what they're supposed to, he should be able to have that. And I'll touch on that a little bit later.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah, then you guys kill Forgas. Geldir's gone. Ryu's not there.
Thus starts the not playing.
Yeah, well, no, you're playing. Season 1, episode 18, Can You See Ryu? One of my favorites where you're like on the boat in a jail looking for your spoon, trying to create a distraction.
Yeah, I just listened to that one.
Jules flew on Smith, the hippogriff you guys found out in the wilderness, and he comes to save you, and you guys have just a kooky little escape.
Yeah, Jules doing the whole like Jack Sparrow, like, I don't know, nonchalant, charismatic, getting through the ship was so funny.
Yep. And then Waltz and Dax were heading to Scale Keep because they basically changed plans, saying, you know what? I don't think we can go kill like the other drakes to fully destabilize Sindor. Let's just, since we're already at this tunnel that like leads to Scale Keep, let's just go try and heist the Arcanor.
Yep.
And that was their whole thing. So, man, this is fun to reminisce on. So that was a fun episode. Then they go in there to like steal it, but at the same time, you know, Waltz gets thrown into this like gladiator match for control of the Drake Knights or something.
Because he was seeing the radio
Visions.
or whatever. Yeah, visions of like Digsby's crew dying and the place being like destroyed and burnt up when Boric, yeah, like won a fight. And we'll get to it in a second here, I guess. So you keep going because I got a question about something there too. Unless you won't get to it, I could just say it.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah,
yeah, you don't know what I'm talking about.
I might not get to it.
So Waltz kept having flashes, like when he would punch Geldir and stuff like that, of like Dax dying and everything. And maybe we did talk about it in a downtime or something like that. But I remember thinking, like, why is he getting those flashes? And even in the episode, I was like, I'm so confused.
Yeah, so basically, the Gameltor was telling him, like, it's showing, like, the future as the current trajectory. And so, like, if Boric's the leader of the Drake Knights, then you guys are going to lose. And then he goes to fight Boric, wins, but then Geldir shows up and says, like, let me, I challenge you. And every time he hit and looked like he was going to kill Geldir, he thought he was, the vision was like, all right, now you're definitely going to lose again. And the reason for that is because my original like view of what was going to happen is if Geldir was the leader of the Drake Knights, there would be a point where they confronted Dax with the Arcanor.
Who's they?
After he had heisted it.
The Drake Knights?
It would be like Geldir and Sindor, because Sindor was on his way, remember?
Yeah,
That's why everyone was like, we got to hurry up.
Okay.
And at some point, Sindor would have said some comment of
the plague
creating the Fade.
Yeah.
In front of Geldir, and Geldir's wife died to the Fade, and Geldir never knew that Sindor's the one who made it, and he would have snapped, and he would have like basically gone out in a blaze of glory against Sindor, like just given Dax some window to escape outside with the Arcanor, and then Jules and Ryu would have showed up on Smith.
Yeah.
If that whole thing didn't happen, and give him just enough time for everyone to get there, and then the Arcanor would have been cracked open, and Ryu would have awakened from the ley line on the inside, and you guys would have beaten Sindor that way. And that is not what happened. So that was what the vision was, because I thought that's where it was going. But then the reason that didn't end up happening is because then Waltz and Dax did like a crazy, like, let's turn the Arcanor into a bomb and escape on our own, and all sorts of crazy stuff. So I tried not to change what was coming their way, but they found like a different way to find an alternate.
Right. Okay.
Because I also had this plan of like Geldir. I was actually trying to kill Waltz with Geldir.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
And then I was going to have Terran just roll his recovery checks like normal. And if he passed him, he would have been buried alive. And there would have been a chance, like they would have just thrown him in a ditch outside or something, and and Dax could have like learned that that's what happened and tried to go find him, but he would have had to like roll recovery checks with no one there to help him,
right? Except
maybe like Glorm and Whisk would have like showed him where he is, and they would, something like that. Like I had a plan for something like that, so I really was trying to kill Waltz in that fight. I that was like legit.
So when he was getting the flashes of punching Geldir and then Dax dying, that was because if Geldir died, then the switch of him turning on Sindor wouldn't have happened, and like Digsby's crew would have died. Is that what you're saying?
Basically.
Okay, gotcha.
It's kind of how I viewed it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, like Geldir would have had I imagine Geldir, because Geldir was looking for redemption because he's the one who failed to stop Digsby's crew twice, so he would have been like standing by Sindor, like he knew that Dax was in there with the Arcanor, and he would have been like, look, I found him and I killed Waltz. Like, I have undone my wrongs and stopped them from achieving what they wanted. So he would have been like right next to Sindor. So because Geldir's whole thing is he wants to get back to his daughter, and he was on Sindor's list of like failing over and over again. Like literally, I think there was a confrontation when Sindor appeared as like as the leaves, and he was like, why are you with him, Drake Knight?
Yeah.
Geldir always thought Sindor was going to win because he knew how strong he was.
Right.
So he's trying to play both sides, and he's just trying to live so he can get back to his daughter.
Yep.
And he felt like if he was the one who stopped Digsby's crew, he could ask anything of Sindor and be like, can you just free me? and then he would like get to leave. So that was what he was trying to do.
Yeah, because I remember in the jail cell, he was talking about how like, I was trying to kill you because my only way out of this now, like Sindor has seen me with you guys, is to basically become leader of the Drake Knights and like destroy Digby's crew himself. But once Waltz beat him and he got put in a cell, he's like, now my only chance is for Sindor to actually lose and for me to help you guys out.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what made him the change of heart when he gave Waltz some info. Which reminds me, so when while Waltz was doing that, Dax was sneaking around trying to find an entrance to the Arcanor, and then he heard that basically Dunadas was there, and then he found Dunadas in a cell. And then Dax wanted to free Dunadas. He's like, no, you actually have to kill me, because the only reason I'm alive, like the only reason Sindor would capture me alive is if he wants me to do this thing to the Arcanor that would make it into a nuke, because he knows I know how to do that. And clearly something has changed, because he can tell the Arcanor is working perfectly because the spell is like still intact. So he's like, nothing's wrong with it. I'm not here to fix it. I'm here to do something with it. There's no other reason you'd have me here, because Dunadas is smart. So he's like, kill me because I have the knowledge to do that, and Sindor will get it out of me one way or another. So this is the correct course of action from his like mathematical perspective. And then so Dax had to make that decision, and I'm pretty sure Dax is the only character out of the group that would have actually killed him. Maybe Ryu would.
We were always saying like maybe Ryu would too, and I feel like I go back and forth on that all the time too, but we'll never know, so I don't have to think about it.
So Dax did it, and he gave him this like poison that he had called Frithitator that is like magical and only works if someone's willing, and it's like only supposed to be used if someone is like dying of like some kind of illness, where they know, and they just want like a peaceful passing. But like in his underground circles, it's used of like if you get captured. It's like a cyanide capsule, like that's how it's viewed. So Dunadas, he was like, this is genuinely like, I think what we should do. So he did that, and then but Dunadas told him where the Arcanor is, how to get it. Then Dax goes in, and it's like in this biome that's like a swamp that, in my mind, Sindor made to be as much like Kaijin as possible, like his homeworld.
Oh, so that's his own little like
sanctuary.
Sanctuary nook type of thing. That's kind of funny.
Exactly.
That's cute.
Yeah. So that's why it was like this weird biome on the inside with like monsters, and Dax had to like fight it. So he's like trying to recreate Kaijin there using like the Arcanor's magic.
I just imagine Cinder going in there to unwind with like a giant snake and a chupacabra.
This place is great.
Like that.
He's like, man, after the Alvarium kills everyone, I'm gonna make every planet every planet into Kaijin. That's so good. And then
sorry, another question about Geldir. Does he ever find out that Sindor created the plague that killed? Oh, whoa.
No.
Does Waltz know that?
Yep, Waltz knows that.
Sheesh. Well, that's
Never
sad.
told him.
I hope we get a chance to. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter now, but
yeah, I mean that would be nice closure for him. But he'd probably also feel like sick knowing he worked for the guy who did that for so long. So it might be better not to tell him.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he literally was gonna snap. I envision Geldir dying like just recklessly attacking Sindor out of rage, and Dax would escape, and that would be the end of Geldir.
Yeah,
Geldir shouldn't exist like at any point.
He's got such
like
a great
he never should have
story,
been
though.
created.
And
yeah, I know, I love him.
Griffin from our Discord wrote at least one story about him, and they're like awesome. So if anyone hasn't been in the Discord, you should definitely go in the fart thread
fan art
and check out her stuff.
She's written a few, I guess you can call them fan fiction, and they're awesome for us to read because it's cool to see how someone else step into our world and like from their perspective, like add things to it. It's really cool.
I loved the ones where we were like kids in like a high school detention thing too.
Yeah, I think I put that one on a Reddit. I should put all of them on the Reddit.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at keeping up on things. But like she was talking about some stuff and some other people, and it kind of inspired me. I do want to make like a Origins Geldir like I did with Origins Digsby.
Yeah.
I might do it as like a Patreon thing. Because I know that's not necessarily everyone's favorite, but
sure.
I think I'd have fun showing like how he got to where he was. And anyway, we're getting way off topic.
We're still only in season 1.
Yeah. So he killed Dunadas, and then you got the Arcanor. So meanwhile, with Ryu, you guys escaped on Smith, but then Desmar, the Drake from the Desert Reason, showed up, and you guys got in this crazy fight. And yeah, we all know what happened.
Yeah, we
Ryu
did.
died, and Jules and Smith escaped because of Ryu's sacrifice, but he took out Desmar, so now Ryu's dead, which was a huge, like I said, my original plan for the ending was Ryu opening the Arcanor, awakening, giving him power spike, and you guys would beat Sindor that way, and you'd all fight in Scale Keep. That was like that. It should have ended around like season 1, episode like 26 or so, or something like that. Like that should have been when like the showdown was happening. So then I had to figure out what to do, and so we kind of like paused, for a second and did an origin.
You even
episode
put like a
with
little
Jules.
note at the end and beginning of another episode. We were like, this was like a huge tournament event, so we took a week off, but here's like a bonus episode thing while we figure this out.
Yeah. So we meet Tough in Jules' origin, but then Joel and Taryn do this crazy plan. I didn't even know what the plan was. They were like only telling me what they needed, but basically they lured Sindor, who just showed up like after him, into Forgoth's lair after they like rode down this tunnel on horses, and then Waltz lured him in, and then Dax dropped the Arcanor on him and made this explosion that Waltz thought he could survive by holding up a shield. Like I'm like, dude, I just killed Ryu 2 episodes ago. Don't make me kill Waltz. But luckily for him, there was like a lore reason I could spare him in terms of like the strand of magic like in the ley line that was in the Arcanor like contains all sorts of powerful magic. Like that's sort of what makes a ley line. And one of those strands was like a strand of the Radia known as the Gameltor, which he has, which like I view magic as having a mind of its own and like almost like thoughts and desires and things like that. And it like as gratitude to Waltz for saving him and knowing he's the servant of the same strand, like wrapped him in this magic and spared him. And sent him back in time or whatever to like let him talk to his mom and found out she could wield the Gameltor. One of my favorite interactions is watching Taryn play the kid version of himself, talking to the adult version of himself at the same time and creating his own conversation.
Master
role play.
That was
so cool. But yeah, so he was spared and he was alive, but Sindor didn't die either. And in fact, but it did transform Sindor, because he was going to be like his druid self, but it made him like he survived because he used his ley line absorbing ability to like absorb the brunt of the explosion, but it like overloaded him with power, so he was like decaying but had new powers. So that was kind of fun.
That was super clever, especially that she kind of foreshadowed that he could do something like that by telling Ryu that he knew how to absorb the power of the ley line, and then something like this happens and it ends up like corrupting him in a way.
Yeah, that's what's fun. Like, that was my favorite part about all this. Was like clearly this was not my original ending.
Yeah.
But I'm like, what's going on? What do I have available? What's been established? I want to keep people on their same trajectories as much as possible. So how would they react? And it just like led to this new thing.
Awesome.
So they escaped, and then Jules woke up in a cave with Smith in there, and then realized Tough was there now. So Ryu's dead and he had to deal with that, but Tough from his origin, a long lost friend that he thought was dead, was there. And Tough was there because, and we still haven't really talked about it, but an organization sent Tough there to go get the Arcanor.
I think someone in the Discord was like, do we even know this organization yet? Somebody might have chimed in and said that he did say Garanar at some point, but I don't know if we actually did.
And I don't know if he did, but it's not really like a spoiler because there's enough context clues. It's like Garanar sent Tough because Dunadas made the Arcanor under the supervision of Garanar, the university he worked at. But then they told him to shut off the project, which you see in season 2, like flashback thing. And he's like, well, I got to do it. So he went to go do it. And so they knew he made it once they like recognized its like energy signatures and like things that was going on. And then they knew Tough like understood it better than most people because he like worked alongside Dunadas, and you like developed this skill set as you're in your years away from Garanar that would make you like worthy of being able to do it. And Tough was led to Garanar by visions. So everyone in their origins were led to a node by a vision of someone they trust. Tough, we haven't done his origin, but Tough even like casually mentioned it when you guys were on that boat talking about how you got there. Saw like a vision of Dunadas, like he was near Garanar, thought about going in, and he's like, nah, I can't, but then saw Dunadas in the window. And we now know that Tough always had a keeper inside him, and so Raucus was like using his spiritual ability in close proximity to Tough to like say like, no, you need to go in there. Like,
lure him.
So then you guys all like regrouped and had a hug and got to kind of know each other a little bit. Tough's there, he's kind of against the party. It's like a new dynamic. But you have a reunion at Digsby's Orchard. And so like I love how the story took its own shift and now the showdown's at Digsby's Orchard. I thought that was actually way cooler.
Absolutely. Dice tell its own story.
Yep. You play on this whole cool like trickery thing where you place a recording on the table and lure in the soldiers and then blow it up.
That was
and then
fun.
You guys start fighting Sindor while the rebels are fighting the Drake Knights. Have this cool battle with Sindor. and ultimately defeat him. Yeah, a big cool explosion, all that. And then we have like the episode of like kind of what you guys all did on the island in Nisserine for like a month or two, helping them rebuild. And then you find like Digsby's book, and it like kind of spurs you on to like the next adventure. But you guys all agree like we need answers on like how we got here, what's going on. Because you found in Dunedast's journal like a thing that said like keepers. This is the first time it comes up.
Right.
Where he's like, are they keepers? Because only a keeper can travel through an unaligned node. And this node never aligned. And he's like, I think it's all four of them. And then he put tough with a question mark because...
Yeah, why did we do a question mark? Because he should know.
No, he doesn't know. Because if you listen to the Keldora Chronicles, he knows that there's a Keldora Chronicles episode. Spoilers, if you don't want to be spoiled about that. I guess skip ahead probably like 30 seconds. But he knows that Raucus's spirit is inside your power core because he repurposed the phylactery containing him to be a power core because of circumstances that he had to. Okay. So he knows that you have a spirit, you have the spirit of a keeper in you, but he doesn't know if that meant that Raucus chose you. Because Raucus technically didn't until he had no other choice, which makes tough this like
we see him do that, or this happened in the past already?
Well, before Raucus's spirit is absorbed by Gotham, he looks back and says, I don't know who chose Ryu, but I am choosing Tough as your fourth in his stead.
When we see Gotham in season 2?
Yeah. No, Raucus says that before Gotham absorbs him. Like after Tough was unconscious and face planted.
Yeah, in season 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
gotcha.
Basically the point you were chosen because... Gotham's like, I hope you selected your heir, Raucus. And he's like, I have in more ways than one, saying like, not only is he basically me, like my son, I am picking him now because he didn't know if he should or not, but he's like, well, I'm about to get absorbed.
Dang, that's funny. See, I don't pick up on this stuff for the moment.
It's a little different than everyone else's origin because he couldn't really, because remember in the Keldora Chronicles, when Dunedast said, you'll be like tied to this core and you can't really like leave it, and he goes, well, that'll make finding an heir rather tough. He hasn't been able to like go around and look for one.
That's funny.
So he was like, man, this tough guy, I don't know, he's done some shady stuff, but after seeing like the things you did on Nisserine and like being a little less selfish and things like that, he's like, I have no other choice, this is I'm about to be gone, so I'm passing it to you.
That's really funny. Yeah, and then he's just like, hopefully this is the right choice. And then Tough ends up not even becoming one by the end, so we still don't know if it was a good choice or not.
Yes.
Dang, that's crazy.
All right, well, that'll bring us to season 2. And I definitely like forgot things about season 1, and I definitely didn't cover all the lore. This is just kind of like give you guys a general reminder.
I think we had some good stuff there, though, because, those are things that I was like, oh, dang, I didn't even realize.
Yeah, and I'm sure I've even forgot about things I wanted to emphasize, but... Also, check out our Discord if you like have a question on something or you want me to expand on something. Like we're pretty active in there, and I do always enjoy answering questions about lore or the story. Obviously, we really enjoy what we've created, so it's pretty easy to get us to talk about stuff.
Love talking about it,
yeah. So season 2 started with 4 straight Dax Origins episodes, and I don't really talk about other people's Origins episodes, but part of the reason his arc was so long is like. Of these origins, and the reason it's before season 2, which I know is probably jarring because I don't know if everyone likes origins and they skip them or whatever, but his played into season 2. There was 2 shared villains, well, like, kind of 3 actually from his. So, but like the main thing with his is, in his origins, he essentially met Gotham for the first time and Zorak, who is Raul, and Zig, and Droga is technically in this. So it had a lot to do with season 2. But the main things is Gotham wanted Corium for something, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So he wanted someone to go into Drekheim where it's made, which is where the Durga's from. And he is Durga, but he can't really go in there. Like he's clearly like some kind of outcast from there. So you can't just like waltz in and grab it. And also there was a guy named Zorak who was a kitsune, like a fox guy, who also wanted him to go get it. And Dax was like, why don't you just have the Drozat do it to people that serve Droga? And they said they want to avoid the gaze of Omahatif, like the person who commands the Drozat, which is Droga's like assassins, thieves, spirits, things like that. So Omahatif means without face. So they're saying like the unknown leader of the Drozat, and which is interesting because Gothram serves Droga, which you learn later, but he didn't want Droga to know he's doing that, so therefore he didn't use his soldiers.
Right. Okay, yeah.
And at the end of season 2, he told Zig, I won't make you Drozat because then you belong to Droga. And he's like, I need you. So like it's this idea that Droga knows what his forces are doing, and he's like working in shadow. He didn't want Droga to know he's trying to do that.
Double agent.
Yeah. So yeah, Droga is like this like powerful ex-keeper that like in the time before time tried to enslave all the dragons and use them for his own like goals, but the keepers stopped him, but they couldn't kill him outright. Droga literally means death in Draconic. Like that's how long ago this happened that it became the word for death because he was like unkillable.
That's awesome.
And like undead, and all they could do is trap his spirit in the core of Dracus. So he's a spirit like in a spiritual prison in the core of Dracus, and that's why Droga Dune, the den of Droga, the den of death, is built in the like tunnels of Dracus, and his spirit like resides in Droga Dune, and it's this like creepy thing. So
that's some sick
I
lore.
really liked that. And also part of the reason his origins are so long is I don't know how much more we'll be going to Dracus, and I just love Dracus.
Yeah, for sure.
And wanted to do stuff with it. But anyway, so that was kind of the build up for that. And then so the season started with everyone like on the boat, and they're like talking about, you know, how they all got there and like trying to figure out this keeper stuff.
One thing we did forget to mention with season 1 is Tough finding out Dunadas died and how he died.
Yes, I knew I forgot stuff.
Because he did his whole like science experiment thing, figuring out that Frithador is used to kill him, but still doesn't know who did it or why or any of that stuff, assuming it was Sindor for a while. But then Sindor saying he didn't do it, and Tough being confused by that. And then Dax told Jules privately that Dax did kill Dunadas. So Jules and Dax are holding on to this secret information while Tough is trying to figure it out.
Very important to mention because that's like a tension that rings throughout the season. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So then you guys were all talking about, you know, we need to figure out what this keeper stuff means. I found it in the journal. Apparently we all might be it. How did we all get here? You all had a similar experience where you went through a node and heard some words, and you think you went through an unaligned node and saw a spirit before you went through of someone like you trust. And so it seemed like whatever words were spoken were part of a riddle. And then you realize, well, we don't know what was said to Ryu, and we don't know his experience because he's dead. And then in that moment, the Gameltor like reached out to Waltz and allowed him to enter into like an alternate timeline where Ryu didn't die, so he could find out what was said to Ryu for like a brief moment. So he like embodied his version of himself in that timeline. And basically, like, I did this just to gaslight Tyrion, where he found out
it's always fun
that the reason everyone is alive, so Tough, Ryu, Digsby, all on the same boat, chilling, having a good time, everyone's happy. And the reason that timeline exists is because in that timeline, Waltz killed Geldir. Because Geldir's the one who ran and told the Drake Knights, so they came into... I actually have a Google Doc of the exact chain of events of this timeline and why it happened and everyone survived. I don't have time to go into here. I think I talk about it in one of our downtimes after like one of those episodes. But this whole plausible timeline where if only Geldir was dead, then everyone would have been fine. So, but yeah, anyway, he gets to find out what happened and what was said to Ryu. And so you guys know, like, okay, it was something in Elder. I don't speak Elder. Let's go to the library on this in this city called Mazivo, this big elven city along the coast that should be able to tell us what that means. So that was like your first, okay, that's what we're doing then. And then Waltz is having a tough time with the baggage of knowing that he could have prevented that, and he goes below deck, and then he finds Geldir. Geldir's on the boat.
Wow, what do you know?
And then they have a kitchen knife fight. So basically in the chaos of like everyone showing up at Scale Keep and Sinur showing up and like the fight, he found a way out of the cell. Probably tricking a Drake Knight saying like, hey, you better let me out because blah, 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 blah.
Or like, doesn't that Scale Keep end up destroyed in some way or something like that? Like that could have easily broken an opening somewhere for him to...
I mean, they blew up the thing. The vault was the vault with the Arcanor. I envisioned Geldir.
Or like when the Arcanor went off or something, that could have like blown up stuff too, you know?
Yeah, no, it wasn't that a hole was open. It was more that like he stopped a Drake Knight and says like, "Do you really want to explain to Sindor why you guys imprisoned me and made Waltz the leader when I was trying to stop you from doing that?"
Seems like a Geldir thing to do.
Yeah, like so I basically pictured him like putting some like lone Drake Knight and like, "Oh yeah, that is a bad look. I should let you out," and then saying like, "I got to get the heck out of here because I've pissed off both sides."
Yeah.
And
probably
I'm gonna
Dan.
go hide.
Do you remember Dan?
Oh yeah, I do remember Dan.
Do you actually?
yeah. Dan, the Drake Knight that died, and that when I had you roll percentage dice for. Was it you rolling it?
No,
I think you said you didn't want.
I think this was like a brief 5-second thing where Glorm was like, "Go get Waltz a shield," and then we found out.
Yeah, but then Dan died in the battle.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, in the final battle, that was.
Yeah. Dan died. So you didn't remember Dan?
Yeah, I guess not.
But yeah, let's see. So that's how Geldir escaped, and then he saw that your boat was leaving. And he's like, if they're going towards the coast, that puts me closer to Lake Othetsi where my daughter's from. So he's just trying to get home. That's all he's trying to do. But Waltz, in his like anger and regret, fights him. And they have this big knife fight, but then spares him. Of course, Waltz.
Which is like a crazy cool Waltz thing to do, to literally have a vision where you feel guilty about not killing somebody, resulting in like all this bad stuff happening. And him still being like, no, like I don't kill, like even though this stuff happened, like I'm not going to kill this person right now. You know?
Yeah, I was really trying to test that character trait. I was like, if I can't get him to kill him here, I don't know if I can get him to kill.
I love that he did that.
But I also view it as Waltz having so it's kind of a turning point for Waltz where he says like sparing people with full trust is dangerous. And you see a change in that later actually, which when he finds that Kitsune and at least ties him to a tree rather than lets him go after saving him. And he did kill some Kitsune soldiers, which are like humanoids. Like, you know, it's not like he's killing just some beast, but it's because he recognizes like, you know, sometimes you got to do it and it's me or them. And like, you know, and he was in a chaotic battle when he did it, but
war is hell.
And his whole thing of like not wanting to kill spawned back to his origins where he did kill like that first orc. Yeah. Because he's like, this is what I'm here to do. They're the enemy. But then the orc said like, well, at least I die free. And then he realized, wait, these people have a story and they have their own perspective. And I don't actually know what's going on. And they are precious life, you know, things like that.
Dude, that probably does mess with Walt so much to kill someone and then regret it because of like what he thought like that could end up affecting, and then not killing somebody and regretting it because of like what that ended up affecting. So he's just probably like totally discombobulated. It's like, well, how do you do life?
Yeah,
you know?
and Waltz had the letter from, because Geldir knew that Waltz was such a good guy where he's like, hey, if I end up dying, get this to my daughter, because it's like, even though I've tried to kill you 2 times or 3 times, I know that you'll do that. And he opened the letter and it was a genuine thing. Like he's just working his way back to his daughter. So Waltz is like really, really torn. But you guys do make it to the docks and you let Geldir go.
Yeah.
And sure enough, he leaves.
Yeah.
But also before that, Tuff did go talk to him. Can't really remember what like made you want to talk to him, but
because what did? Because I think Tuff knew he was in the cell by Dunadas, and he was like,
something like that.
Yeah, did you see anything? Basically, is what he wanted to figure out.
And we never actually did what I wanted to do with this,
right?
But I wanted to hide your guys' conversation because you recorded it and you placed it in the bag with the Flora de Vida that you gave to Jules, but it got like during the fight, it just wasn't recovered, you know, and then the whole cavern flooded. The recording was supposed to be your conversation with him that would reveal to Jules that Dax killed Dunadas, even though he already knew that, you know, so it's kind of this confusing thing. But basically, Geldir would have had enough information of being like, think about it this way. Whoever killed Dunadas wasn't a Drake Knight, because a Drake Knight wouldn't go against Sindor. Yeah. It wasn't Dunadas because he was chained up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been Sindor because Sindor needed him.
Alive,
Why would he go through all the trouble of chaining him up to just kill him?
Yeah.
And it wasn't me, because why would I do that?
And it wasn't Waltz because he was never down there when Dunadas was like alone.
And then Geldir knew that Dax knows thieves can't, because he tried to use it that one time to sell Sindor something, and Dax understood it. So he goes, okay, so this guy's clearly underground, and that means he could get his hand on Frithador, and that means he'd know how to use it and what to do with it. So he's like, I'm not saying he did it. I'm just saying all signs point to him doing it. And then that's when Tuff had the confirmed, like, it's an unconfirmed, like, logically probably Dax. But the reason Tuff didn't act on it immediately is because 1, you don't know, and 2, you want to gather more information, and 3, he's at least useful up to this point because you need to, like, figure out some things. And he proved to not be, like, completely hostile. So you kind of were... You wanted, like, to tell Jules about it to help you investigate it and confirm it and, like, things like that. But then the mission just took off and you didn't really get,
yeah, the whole
like,
kind of a big theme throughout season 2 was, like, nobody ended up having a good time that would have been, you know, good to bring this up on Jules or Tuff's or Dax's side. So
exactly. So yeah, then you guys make it to the docks, and basically there's like you can go through like security, like customs. Or you can go through an underground way. And you two, like the Tuff and Jules, felt like they wouldn't clear customs because they're pirate background, because it seems like they magically kind of know some certain things. And Waltz and Dax felt like they could make it through. Because Waltz, I think he was flagged because he was like a criminal. But
yeah, why did he think he was going to make it through that?
Yeah, because he's Waltz. Okay. But luckily the Lorthal hates. They view Mortifer as imperialists. And they're like, hey, if you're an enemy of them, then you're a friend of us.
Right,
like,
okay.
Because they're like, we're this like unified, nice government, and we stick to ourselves, and we don't like have wars like that. So you're welcome here, like, you know?
Yeah.
Because that was like the only thing he had on him. And then Dax had like no history because he's from Drakis. So nobody knew anything about him. So they just kind of let him in, which is like dangerous, which was like a flag in its own way. So they only gained access to the first tier.
Oh, right.
Of the city. And then you guys, like you and Jules, went into this underground and then ended up meeting Zig.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was Zig at the time, who was transporting something and needed to get inside the city to get to the node. I can't really remember why he hired you. Oh, yeah. He's like, hey, I'm going to go on this node and someone's after me. Don't ask questions. But if someone that looks like this comes up to me, shoot him with this like
dart thing,
you know, so they don't get to me. So he hired you guys knowing like, all right, guys in an underground tavern, they're probably capable. They're not going to ask too many questions. So help me. So you guys did that. He was on the node and someone did come running up to him and you did have to shoot him and you did succeed while Jules drew away most of the crowd at the music. And then you rendezvoused with the rest of the party at the coffee shop. But you were spotted by a rat folk that saw you were the one who shot this person.
Yeah.
And this rat folk talked to that person and led them to you guys. And that was Josh, his character.
Woo, Josh.
Renard, who was a kitsune in human form. And he was like, hey, that guy you guys helped, he stole a magic artifact from my city that I don't know at what point he revealed all this, like, because I think he was kind of secretive, but basically he's like, hey, this artifact that they stole, if we don't get it back to my city, it's going to plummet and destroy the entire planet because it's a floating city in the sky. So you guys really messed up. So you need to either explain to me, like, are you villain and you're helping him and I need to kill you? Or like, are you going to help me? I need to find him. And that brought Josh in the mix. So you had this like ticking clock scenario of, you better go get that thing that's now on another planet and bring it back here and get it to the city that's in the sky in like very quickly, because otherwise this whole planet's destroyed. Basically, and then a big fight broke out because you were being watched by servants of Gotham, these like undead creations that he had made. That were pursuing him, plus the loyal kitsune to Raul, the other kitsune who was like the villain, who I'll talk about more later. So then you got in this big fight and then you went into the sewers and then he explained everything to you and you're like, all right, well, let's get to a node. So then you tried to get to a node and that was a fun episode of like the goofy sermon
for sure
stuff. And then you got on the node and you tried to use the words you had because you scrapped the whole library plan and you thought, hey, maybe the words they told us in Elder when we went through the node can activate a node. And you tried that. None of that worked. And then suddenly a spirit overtook Tuff and said the words needed to ignite the node and send you to where you needed to go.
Because it needs to be a keeper who says it to make it happen.
Exactly. Okay. And you did have an actual keeper that was able to overtake your body and do it.
Neat.
And then he fought a T-Rex on this
a lightning
planet.
Shooting T-Rex.
Really fun episode. Where it was supposed to be like a one-part episode, but I don't think you guys did any damage the first episode and did anything other than just like run around and do like buffs to each other and botch a bunch of rolls. So then it turned into a two-parter where then
Jules running 20 feet away only to have
like
the
literally
T-Rex
nothing. I think literally if you listen to episode 8 of season 2, like nothing of like strategic value took place
yeah.
for an entire episode.
I'll get to it eventually. I do wonder what we were doing that whole time.
Nothing. Yeah, and that's why I was like, what is it? Can someone do damage? Like, I think at one point, it probably didn't make it the episode. I was like, none of you have attacked this creature yet.
I think
like,
you did say it in the episode. I feel like I remember you being like, nobody's done any damage to this T-Rex yet.
Right. But then you do, and you pull out your money shafted gun.
Yeah,
probably my favorite,
another classic.
One of my favorite bloopers. Yeah, you brought Renard and Zogi with you. Yeah, you kill it. Then you find out that Renard is a kitsune because you wake up in the cave the next day after resting, and his like magic's wearing off because he's growing weaker because he's not near the Florida Vita, which is the artifact you're after that powers his floating city. So he turns into the kitsune, and then he's able to sense that the Florida Vita is near and dangerously low on energy. So he just quickly hops on Smith, and who is actually his hippogriff. Again, I'm not covering everything. This is not replacing listening to the episodes. And then he flies there with Zoki for some reason. I think Zoki just hopped on or whatever.
Sure.
That was also the same episode you tried really hard to tell Jules, but then Dax interrupted. And they fly in there, and then they see that Gothram, this Durga dwarf that was in Dax's origins, was siphoning its power, and then he used it to raise even more powerful undead, and who knows what else it enabled him to do. And then he has this like compulsion spell, and he just like commands them to like drop to their knees and whatever. And then the rest of Digsby's crew like runs there, sees Zig outside, sees signs that dead bodies were being brought to this place like from the battle on Mortifar, because you're now on Mortifar, by the way, when you went through the node. And you go in there and you see them all trapped, and there's all these undead soldiers, and they're like letting you walk to Gothram, and then Gotham's like, hey, what's up? Someone here is clearly a keeper, because I know that a node was activated yesterday and only a keeper could do that. So who is it? And you're like, I don't know. And he's like, who is it? And he like kills this crazy thing. And you're like, I don't know. And he's like, all right, well, you may not be able to tell me, but if you know, I can find out. And he like enters your minds, and we get a little Renard origin. And we also get some hints that you guys are all special. So basically, he learns that like Waltz has the radiant powers, and he learns that Jules has something like about this tune that he's learning that's really important that he can't let him complete. And he learns that Tuff has Raucous' spirit, and he knows Raucous because Gotham's also an ex-keeper, and they confront and they talk to each other. And this is where a whole bunch of lore comes out. Basically, I'm not going to like go over the order of the exchange, but what comes out of this conversation is one, Raucous and maybe other keepers are hiding in phylacteries, which is like keeping their spirit to the plane they're on, the material plane. And we learn that Gotham had been killing keepers, and we learn that Gotham is supposed to be dead, but like kept alive by Droga, who is also an ex-keeper. And we learned that Gotham was trying to build something called an Elder Blade, but one of the components doesn't remain, and he tried to replace that component with the corium Dax stole, and it didn't work. And then Raucous says, well, all right, if you think that that's going to help you against the Alvirium, this is the first time the Alvirium come up, the impending threat, that you think you can stop by destroying Lorthal. Instead of doing that, let Digsby's crew leave with a chance, like give them the Flora Vita and at least give them a reasonable chance to go return it. And I will show you where that missing component is. And they enter into something called an Elder Oath, where they each say they'll do those things in Elder. And so then Raucous forfeits his spirit to Gotham. Gotham's like, all right, I'm under an Elder Oath. Here you go. Here's the Florida Vita. He literally hands it to you, and then he takes you to a node and then sends you back to Lorthal.
Right.
So
why did Raucous care about saving Lorthal? Just because he's like a nice keeper guy?
I would say yes, because he's like, it's conflicting ideologies of two keepers with two different perspectives. Gotham's like, and this kind of comes up when you guys fight Raoul, but from Gotham's perspective, it's one, you also don't know if Gotham's just like straight up evil, but Gotham's like, hey, I'm going to blow up one planet to make sure that 6 of the 7 are okay. And Raucous is like, that is unacceptable. There has to be like another way. So the rest of the keepers are spending all this time finding you, Digsby's crew, to be the next keepers, finding the people that they think can actually save all of Keldora. And Gotham's like, no, that's not going to work. You guys are wasting time and we're out of time. So I'm going to do this. So Raucus is like, I think we found the people. Give them a chance. And in exchange, I will tell you where the missing component of the Elder Blade is.
And Gotham
give you my
sees
spirit.
this Elder Blade as a potential alternative to also defeating the Elvirium.
Yeah, Raucus was like, well, hey, I mean, you're pretty powerful, right? You know, like playing into his ego. He's like, if you had the Elder Blade plus the energy you siphoned from the Florida Vita, I bet you could stop the Elvirium. And he's like, and plus, I know you don't want to be Droga's slave forever. You're gonna need to stop him. So Gotham's like, okay, maybe that could work. Plus, I don't think Digby's crew can stop what I'm doing on Lorthal anyway. He didn't say like, okay, I won't do it. He goes, you can let him try.
Right.
I won't succeed. And I get the Elder Blade.
Yeah,
that sounds like a
win-win.
good deal to me.
That's funny. That's good.
And Raucus knew he wouldn't agree to just stop what he was doing.
Right.
So he was like, give them a chance. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And you learn, well, I guess no one's learned this yet, so never mind. But
we haven't learned this?
I mean, you guys have, but the listeners don't. But
Okay.
Gotham seemed to take this Elder Oath very seriously to the point where he didn't really play any tricks. He's like, I literally did give you the Florida Vita and sent you to the node closest to Ciudad de la Nubes, and there is technically enough time to do something. And I myself will not show up and stop you.
Right.
But everything else he had in motion of the Raul's loyal army and the city actually falling, he didn't stop any of that.
Right.
He just gave you an actual reasonable chance. He didn't try and pull any last minute craziness.
Right.
Because of this Elder Oath, and he even told you guys that when he's like, come on, follow me. And you're like, why are you helping us? He's like, I'm under an Elder Oath. I don't care. I'm under an Elder Oath. Shut up. Like, just go, get out of here. You must get on this node. Like, do it. I am under an Elder Oath. And then he sent you guys back.
That's awesome. Cause Gotham's like, he never specified how much of a chance I have to give him. So if the only chance I have to give them is that I don't show up, then great. And Raucus is like, that's all they need is just that amount of chance. So that's really cool.
But Gotham respected the Elder Oath so much that he didn't say like, hey, now that I got your spirit, actually I'm going to kill him. He was like,
right, because there's something to that Elder Oath that's pretty important.
He didn't want to toe the line.
Right.
Or do anything that could be viewed as
breaking
with the new information, changing his plan. He was just like, I'm just keeping what was in motion, but I'm not stopping them. How about that? Yeah. And here's the Florida Vita. So,
big
but
moment.
He never thought you'd succeed. Yeah, then you guys get back to Lorthal and you realize Renard's looks like he's like dying because Tuff was unconscious and like dead because his core when he took Raucus's spirit out, your core stopped working. And then Renard realized you needed some sort of powerful energy source to replace like the spirit or whatever was in you, so he placed the Florida Vita in you, and that was enough to sustain Tuff at least for the time being. But Renard really needed that power too.
Yeah.
Because he had been exerting a lot of energy and he was dying and he was nowhere near Ciudad de la Nubes and the residual Florida Vita energy. He was like dying, but he gave it to you instead and like recognized you as a hero. And once you guys were on Lorthal, you saw that he was losing energy and he's like, I can't go with you guys. I'm sorry. I'm going to be a liability, but you guys can get there. And he's like, you're a mini Ciudad de la Nubes now. You have the Florida Vita in you. I bet you can fly. And he showed you how to like channel that energy, and you did. And you flew off with Digby's crew thinking you'd see Reynard again. But then it was very clear after that Reynard was like, he looked at Cervantes Smith. He's like, this is the end of the road, buddy. I'm out of energy. But then he also remembered that Raul has this Merc vein. And he's going to make sure the planet falls. And he needs to distract him while you're like vulnerably flying through the air. So he channeled the last of his energy to do a flare to mimic the Florida Vita being on the planet to draw Raul in, who could also sense it as a kitsune. And then they had a final showdown, but it was just Renard with the little energy he had left dragging out a fight as long as he could, knowing he would die.
Yep.
And then he died.
It was an epic moment.
Raul realized he didn't have it, and then he like flew after you guys, but it gave you enough time to get to the planet. Yeah, you encounter some resistance, you land, whatever, the planet falls like into you guys, a bunch of crazy stuff happens. You get separated a little bit into like groups of two because some of you hovered with Tuff and Jules hovered while Dax and Waltz flew after the escaping kitsune that you encountered on the way into the city. So you're separated a little bit, and then you get in a fight with who turns out to be Renard's wife, who sensed the Florida Vita and was like, here's my chance. I got to I got to kill Tough and get this so I can get it back and save the city. She doesn't know who you guys are, what you're doing. She just knows this is like a once in a billion chance. I never thought the Florida Vita would be back on the planet. I have no time. I got to get it. So she gets it, takes out Tough, and Jules forgot to level up.
We don't have to talk about that.
But you guys all regroup and figure out who's who and what's going on, and basically come up with this plan. And we do this big assault. It's basically episodes and episodes of combat. I won't like go over all that, but it was like a D-Day style beach landing.
The gunfire. What the general plan was supposed to be was that Tough, Dax, and Waltz were gonna storm the castle or whatever with the Florida Vita in tow, so that they could get it to where it needs to go. And Jules was going to end up being like a distraction underground, like cause some sort of explosion or something like that to try to draw as many people there as possible. And yeah, I guess we can take it from there then.
Yeah, because that's also the point where, once you guys got on the boat and were going there to create the diversion so that Jules could underwater go into the castle and then let you guys in, Tough made his own plan. Where he essentially took the Florida Vita out of his core, put it in this bag that he told Jules contained explosives to create a distraction. And he said, so don't open the bag because it's waterproof. But once you get inside, open it up and you look at what you got. And he's like, okay. And then meanwhile, Tough got on the boat with Dax and Waltz, and Dax felt like, and Tough felt like he knew for sure Dax is the one who killed Dunadas, and you now were at a point where if he really was working with Zig and Raul, who are all people that Dax seemed to have known,
right,
and that increased your suspicion of him, then you're like, if he's planning any kind of final backstab, I cannot take that risk, which is why you instead give the Florida Vita to Jules without Dax knowing, so Dax would think you had it, so Dax would stick near you and backstab you. But once you had him on a boat and knew he couldn't swim and all this, you pulled out a bunch of explosives and were like, hey, I know you killed him. Are you working for them? Because if so, I'll blow us up all right now because I don't even have Florida Vita. I have nothing to lose. I've already made sure it wasn't within your reach. And kind of had this interaction where you at least were convinced, like, although you didn't agree with his choice, he wasn't a threat to you in this moment. And it wasn't worth blowing all of you up, because if he's not going to work against you in this moment, then you can use his help to actually create that distraction for Jules. But you weren't like friends
right
in that moment.
Right.
Which there's a lot we could say in that, and we do in the downtimes and stuff like that. But so you guys lead that big assault. You're creating a distraction. Jules gets in there, realizes he has the Florida Vita, and he's like, darn it. He also meets like a crazy lizard fish named Diego. He fights some guys, creates some distractions with an unseen servant, gets into the Caverna de Luz where he needs to return it, and then is confronted by Raul and has this like crazy epic sword fight with him. But then you guys, like when you breached the castle and took out much of the army, you saw the Merkvanes showing up and we're like, oh, we're screwed now. But then luckily all the hippogriffs showed up, who Elyara, Renard's wife, she went and freed a bunch of the hippogriffs, and then he captured Kitsune that were still loyal to the city and helped like bolster you guys. And then once she realized, like, what are you doing? You have the Florida Vita. Like, why were you doing this attack? You're like, actually, Jules has it. And then she's like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, all right, well, we need to lure the Merkvane away and we'll keep the distraction going up here and all this. So then Dax is like, all right, I'll go help Jules in the cavern. So he went to go find a way to do that. And you guys lured the Merkvane away. Had a cool epic fight with the Merkvane. Dax and Jules fought. Raul had a cool epic fight. And then the lore was revealed, like more about the Alvirium to you guys. He says, Raul was like, hey, we need to blow up this planet because if we don't, the Alvirium are going to get here. And like, yeah, I'm a bad guy or whatever, but I'm making a choice that nobody should have to make, destroy one planet to spare six more or spare the one and risk losing them all. That's what I'm doing. And then so you guys learned like, okay, if we stop that, then we also must ensure the Alvirium has stopped whatever they are, whoever they are.
Yeah. Wouldn't it have been crazy if Jules and Dax were just like, okay, I get it. Let's destroy Lorthal.
Yeah, I would have rolled with it. I mean, we would have just done whatever needed done. But yeah, you realize it wasn't as black and white of like one's clearly the villain, one's not. There's also lore to like who Raul is and how, all this and stuff. But you listen to the episodes. That's what the actual episodes are for.
Yeah.
But that's generally what happened. You guys all know all that. Saved Ciudad de la Nubes. Then Tough took the remainder of the Florida Vita that was clearly dying, and it looked like although the city plummeted into the water and was now an island, the people were still going to die because they didn't have their energy source. But Tuff, using his knowledge of the Arcanor from Dunadat's journal, took the Florida Vita and like fastened it to a new Arcanor that he made that would create recursive energy with the energy that's remaining in the Florida Vita. And although it would never be strong enough to make a city fly or someone do something like really, really crazy with it, it could at least be an energy source to the Kitsune so they could live on. But there is a new Arcanor made. And then at the same time, you made a mini Arcanor and put it in your chest as your new core to recycle the energy from the Florida Vita that you had to keep you alive as well, which is pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. And then you guys all went and had a chat at a tavern in Lego Thessi, which is where, Geldir's from. Because it was an inconspicuous town, it was nearby. You knew of it because you didn't know the planet very well. Neither did the Kitsune because they're up in the sky, and like you knew roughly where it was and things like that. And it was like out of the reach of other people and all sorts of other reasons. And you recap the lore, tell them what's going on, saying, hey, the Alvirian, we got to stop them. You also learned the translation of the words you heard when you went through the node.
Yep.
Because Rockus told you before he exited and was engulfed. And you basically figured out their coordinates to a planet, to a place on Arcta. So then Tuff went and talked to a Pathfinder who gave him like all these, like a route to get there and told him about this place on Arcta and everything. And then it turned out Geldir was there. And then you guys had like a little moment with Geldir.
Yes.
Geldir is clear. He met his daughter. It was real. It wasn't made up. And she's brought out a little bit of the softer side in him. And he has no reason to be a jerk anymore or kill you. And he actually gave Walt some armor.
Right before that, there was the confrontation of Dax with Jules and stuff around. Tuff finding out that Jules did know all along, and then basically the falling out of Tuff being like, all right, well, after we're done with this stuff, like, I don't need to be with you guys anymore, and everybody fighting.
Yes, very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to this place on Arcta, you fight a Yeti, whatever, and then you find this little humble hut, and you find someone inside. It was like this giant lumbering old man named Balthazar, and essentially, I mean, I'd probably just re-listen to that episode before you jumped into season 3, just probably as a refresher. But yeah. He essentially is this like, I mean, you don't really know what he is, but the Keepers, knowing how important it was to choose correctly, since Gotham himself was a Keeper and was clearly a bad choice from their perspective, they wanted to insert someone else to review their choices. So they're saying, this is who we think should do it. And then I want Balthazar to look at them and say, like, will this work? And more importantly, do they trust each other? Because internal conflict and infighting is what led to a lot of the issues that are going on now. So when he posed that question, it was clear there was tension between Tuff and Dax and Waltz. And then you guys all have this big discussion and try and air out a whole bunch of stuff. And then ultimately realize, yeah, maybe Tuff says he'll work with Dax, but Tuff clearly still like hates Dax. And that could grow and fester. So knowing that, Balthazar refused to let Tuff become a Keeper and then dismissed him to somewhere. And then the rest of the group said this oath, entered into an elder oath about like protecting Keldora and stuff, and then became Keepers and were sent to space. These sigils they got just sent them to a keep in space. And that was basically where we ended the season, except also that then Gotham, using his Florida Vita ability. So he has this like ability to create undead already that he gets from Droga. And then now he has this flower of life that keeps people alive. And he combined those two powers to like resurrect Ryu without anything physical from his body other than the blood of his mother.
Yeah.
Who Zig
killing moms.
And he brought Ryu back, and then instead of just like saying, hey, follow me, we're going to team up, he's like, just go do your Unbound stuff. So Droga said like, hey, let him do that and you'll have the other blade. Rockus also said, I'll tell him where the missing component is. So it seems that like Ryu's existence and like being the Unbound leads to the missing component of the Elder Blade.
In some way.
And
we just don't know why yet.
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't know why yet.
Very interesting.
And that is all of season 1 through 2.
Man.
Basically.
A lot of stuff.
Re-listening's still better, but yeah, that's a quick, like, how to help you jump back in.
The big things, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, do you have anything before we dive into the Patreon exclusive, like questions from the Discord?
No, I don't think so. Excited for season 3. It'll be interesting to see where things go, to see who pops up. Yeah.
Yeah, you already kind of know because we recorded 6 episodes.
Yeah.
So it's hard to we don't want to speculate on anything or
Right.
expand on anything.
I'm sure it's not a spoiler to say, obviously, Ryu is involved somehow at this point.
Somehow, yeah.
But yeah, like I said, I really like these first few episodes that we've got because they're just very dense. Like there's a lot of good stuff in there. So I'm hoping the listeners will like it too.
Awesome. All right. Well, if you're not a patron, enjoy season 3. Can't wait for you to hear it. Thank you all for being patient during our break. And it was very fruitful for us, much needed. Also, making a podcast is a lot of work. If you're thinking about starting a podcast, you should do one of the ones where people just sit on a couch and say stuff and then that's done. You shouldn't do one where you have to write a story, get everyone together, record it, make original music, add in sound effects, edit it. It's hard. Yeah. Unless you have a lot of free time. But, anyways, it's been a joy. It's super fun. You guys
rewarding.
make it all worth it. And your reactions are what makes it all worth it. Because, we really don't. Sharing this story with people and knowing they enjoy it and sparks their imagination and they're interested in it. That's the fuel to keep us going. So appreciate you all.
Makes our day.
All right. And we will see you in season 3.